Ladies and gentlemen, when you find yourself waking between the hours of 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it is tempting to dismiss the experience as random or purely biological. The common response is to see it as a disruption, a problem to be fixed. However, to approach this moment with awareness is to recognize that it may not be accidental at all. Across ancient traditions and wisdom systems, particularly in traditional Chinese medicine, this period corresponds to the activation of the lung meridian. The lungs in this context are not seen merely as physical organs, but as energetic centers associated with breath, grief, and transformation. They are the gatekeepers of life's subtle rhythm of inspiration and release. In this light, waking during these hours may be your body's and spirit's way of calling your attention to something deeper. Energetically, this time is referred to as the hour of spirit. The world is quiet. The distractions are few. The collective mental noise of the world is at its lowest. You are no longer in the activity of the day, nor yet in the imagined planning of the morning. You are suspended between a liminal space. In such a moment, your being is more sensitive, more open. What you perceive as a wake up is in some way a calling. It is not merely your physical body that has stirred, but consciousness itself gently nudging you. Most people respond by resisting this awakening. The mind quickly enters, "Why am I awake? How can I fall asleep again?" It identifies the situation as an issue and begins to fix it, but if instead you paused, you would notice something subtler beneath the mental noise. There is no urgency in this hour. There is no requirement. There is simply presence. If you allow yourself to be still, to sit or lie quietly, without trying to change anything, you may begin to feel the depth of this moment. This time of night carries an innate stillness that is difficult to access during waking hours. It is as if life itself is closer. There is a different kind of attention available, not one that analyzes or seeks outcomes, but one that simply is. In this space, the inner world comes forward. Unresolved emotions, subtle intuitions, or the gentle whisper of the soul may make themselves known. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a breeze that passes over water. So waking between 3 and 5 is not merely about disrupted sleep. It is about an invitation to presence, to breathe, to inner noticing. It is a reminder that not all awakenings happen in daylight. Some come when the world is silent, and all that remains is you, your awareness, and the mystery that surrounds and supports your life. When met with openness, this hour becomes a gift, not a disturbance. It is the door to a deeper kind of waking one that leads not back into dreams, but into truth. When you awaken between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it is important to recognize that this moment is not merely a biological reflex or a disruption caused by restlessness. Instead, it is a profound invitation from a place within you that is deeper than the ordinary mind, the place where the ego usually dwells. The ego, with its endless stream of thoughts, judgments, fears, and stories, tends to dominate our waking consciousness during the day. Yet, in the stillness of the night, especially in these early morning hours, the ego's voice grows faint, almost silent. What remains beneath or beyond that silence is the presence of the soul, the deeper essence of your being that rarely finds space to speak in the constant noise of daily life. This silence is not empty or void, rather it is rich with meaning and potential. When the mental chatter quiets, you can become aware of a subtle energy that is not created by thinking. It is not the restless mind asking questions or racing ahead to plans or worries. It is a form of consciousness that simply is. This consciousness is not personal, and it does not seek to control or fix. Instead, it invites you into a state of pure awareness, a state where you simply witness your experience without judgment or resistance. The experience of waking during these hours can be seen as a spontaneous reminder to awaken not just physically, but spiritually. It is as if your deeper self, is gently nudging you to step out of the habitual identification with thought patterns and egoic concerns. This nudging is not a forceful demand, but a quiet call to be present, to observe, and to allow what is, without needing to intervene or escape. When you meet this moment with openness, you begin to realize that the restlessness you might feel is not the enemy. It is a doorway. The resistance to waking up, the desire to rush back to sleep or distract yourself with mental activity, are manifestations of the ego wanting to maintain its dominance. But if you pause and allow yourself to simply be with this experience, you open the possibility for a new kind of awakening, one that transcends the usual identification with thoughts and emotions. In this stillness, you may feel a shift. The sharp edges of anxiety or frustration soften. You recognize that beneath the surface of your mind there is a vast field of presence, timeless and unchanging. This presence is not something to be grasped or achieved. It is already here, always accessible, waiting quietly for your attention. So, waking during these early hours is a natural and profound invitation. It is a moment when the ego steps back and the soul's voice can be heard more clearly. To respond to this call is to move from unconscious sleep into conscious waking, not just in the physical sense, but in the deepest sense of awakening to your true self beyond the ego's story. When you wake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., there is often an immediate urge to solve a problem, to analyze why you woke, to figure out how to get back to sleep, or to plan the next day's tasks. This impulse is natural because the mind is conditioned to remain active, to seek solutions, and to resist anything it perceives as discomfort or interruption. However, the deeper wisdom of this moment invites you to shift your approach entirely. Instead of rushing into mental activity, the greatest practice you can engage in is simply stillness. Stillness here is not merely physical quietness or the absence of movement. It is a state of inner spaciousness, an open and receptive awareness that neither fights against the experience nor tries to change it. This stillness arises when you allow yourself to be fully present with what is, without judgment or resistance. Rather than treating your awakening as a problem that needs fixing, you welcome it as an opportunity, a moment to become more deeply aware of your own presence. The mind, when faced with the unexpected stillness of waking in the quiet hours, may try to pull you back into habitual patterns of thought, worrying about lost sleep, replaying events from the day, or projecting into the future. This is the ego's way of seeking control, but these thoughts are not your true self. They are simply mental patterns that come and go. When you resist these thoughts or engage with them, you reinforce the very restlessness you want to overcome. By contrast, stillness is the practice of allowing these thoughts to arise and dissolve without attachment. It is the art of being a witness to the mind's activity rather than becoming entangled in it. This witnessing is a subtle but powerful shift. You move from being lost in thought to observing thought. In that moment, a quiet space opens up between thoughts, a space where true peace can be found. Stillness also connects you with the deeper dimension of life that is always present but often overlooked. It is in this silence that you touch the essence of being, the awareness that underlies all experience. Here, time seems to slow and the rush of daily life fades away. This is the natural state of your consciousness when it is not clouded by mental noise. Practicing stillness when you wake in these early hours helps you break free from habitual mental reactivity. It trains the mind to become less compulsive and more spacious, more accepting. Over time, you may find that waking during this time is no longer frustrating or disturbing, but becomes a welcomed pause, a sacred moment to rest in presence. Thus, the true value of waking between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. lies not in what you do with your thoughts or plans, but in what you allow to be stillness, presence, and acceptance. This is a profound practice that can transform not only your sleep, but your entire relationship with life. Instead of resistance, there is peace. Instead of struggle, there is ease. And in this ease, you find a deeper connection with the essence of who you truly are. When you find yourself awake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the breath becomes one of the most accessible and powerful tools to bring you back into a state of calm presence. In the quiet stillness of these early hours, the breath acts as a natural anchor, a bridge connecting your physical body, mind, and deeper awareness. Often, when the mind is restless or racing, it pulls you away from the present moment, spiraling into worries or planning. But by gently turning your attention to the breath, you can shift the focus from thought to awareness itself. The breath is unique because it is both voluntary and involuntary. You don't need to force it to continue, it flows naturally. Yet, you can also consciously observe it, slow it down, or deepen it. This duality makes the breath an ideal doorway into presence. When you consciously tune into your breathing, you begin to quiet the mind's chatter. Each inhalation and exhalation becomes a gentle reminder that you are here now, alive and awake. Breathing with awareness is not about controlling or manipulating the breath. It is about allowing it to be just as it is while maintaining a soft, kind attention. You might notice the coolness of the air as it enters your nostrils, the subtle expansion of your chest or belly, and the gentle release as you exhale. This simple observation brings your mind away from the worries or restlessness that might have awakened you and anchors you in the present moment. As you breathe consciously, you create space within yourself, a space that is free from the constant demands of thought. This spaciousness is the essence of presence. It is a state where you can experience life without needing to fix or change anything. The breath becomes a steady rhythm, a pulse of life that supports this stillness. Rather than using the breath to fall back asleep immediately, you can choose to rest in this state of conscious breathing. This is not about forcing sleep or chasing after dreams. Instead, it is about resting more deeply in your own being, even if your eyes remain closed and your body lies still. In this way, the breath serves as a meditation, an invitation to explore the depth of your inner silence. Over time, cultivating this gentle awareness of the breath during these early morning awakenings transforms your relationship with waking itself. What was once an annoying interruption can become a sacred pause, a moment to reconnect with the essence of life beneath the surface of thought. The breath guides you back to yourself, to the here and now, where true peace resides. In this practice, there is no need for struggle or frustration, just a gentle, compassionate return to the breath, over and over again, like the waves softly touching the shore. This simple act holds the power to dissolve anxiety, calm restlessness, and open the door to a deeper sense of presence and peace. When you wake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it is common for thoughts to arise, sometimes memories, worries, plans, or emotions that have been simmering beneath the surface. In the quiet of these early hours, your mind may replay events, anticipate challenges, or bring up unresolved feelings. This flood of thoughts can easily pull you away from calmness, leading to restlessness or frustration. Yet, the key is not to engage with these thoughts, but to observe them with a gentle awareness. Observing thoughts means seeing them clearly as they arise, without judgment, without pushing them away, and without trying to hold on to them. It is a subtle shift from being identified with the content of the mind to becoming the witness of the mind's activity. Instead of saying, "I am anxious," or "I have this problem," you begin to realize there is a thought of anxiety, or there is a mental image of the problem. This distinction creates space and freedom, because the thought is no longer you. It is simply an event passing through your awareness. In the stillness of the night, when external distractions are minimal, this practice of observation becomes easier to cultivate. You may notice that thoughts come and go like clouds drifting across the sky. Some may feel heavy or intense, while others are fleeting and light. By maintaining a calm, neutral attention, you allow these thoughts to flow naturally without resistance. Resisting or pushing thoughts away often makes them more persistent. Instead, acceptance invites them to dissolve on their own. This observing stance does not mean ignoring or suppressing thoughts. Rather, it is about embracing the natural flow of mental activity with kindness and curiosity, without becoming caught in the stories or emotions that arise. When you do this, the mind gradually relaxes. It stops trying to fix or control and instead rests in a state of open awareness. As you practice observing thoughts during these early morning awakenings, you may discover a profound truth. Your true self is not the mind or its stories. Beneath the surface of thought lies a stillness, an unchanging awareness that is always present. This awareness is like the clear sky behind the clouds. No matter how the clouds move, the sky remains vast and unchanged. By returning your attention repeatedly to this witnessing presence, you begin to experience freedom from the mental noise that often dominates your waking hours. The restless energy that might have caused you to wake in the first place loses its grip. You find yourself resting more deeply in presence, even while your eyes are closed and your body is still. This simple but powerful practice transforms the experience of waking between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Instead of frustration or anxiety, you cultivate peace and clarity. Instead of being pulled into mental chaos, you move into a place of calm observation and acceptance. Over time, this shift in relationship with your thoughts opens a doorway to greater inner freedom, not only during these early hours but throughout your daily life. When you wake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it can be a natural response to seek answers or try to understand why you are awake. The mind instinctively looks for explanations, solutions, or plans. However, there is a different way to engage with this moment that transcends the need for intellectual answers. Instead of rushing into problem solving or searching for concrete conclusions, consider asking a quiet inner question that opens a space for presence rather than closure. This kind of question is not meant to be answered in the usual way, with words or logic. It is a gentle invitation for your consciousness to expand and listen deeply. Questions such as, "What is life asking of me right now?" or "What is the deeper intelligence behind this moment?" serve as openings rather than demands. They create a receptive space in your awareness where insight can arise naturally, without force or expectation. As you hold such a question inwardly, your mind may initially resist or struggle to respond. That is normal. The point is not to force an answer, but to allow the question itself to cultivate a state of openness and curiosity. This openness softens the habitual mental patterns that seek control and certainty. Instead, it encourages a surrender to the unknown, a willingness to be present with whatever arises without needing to grasp or fix it. In this way, the question becomes a form of meditation, a doorway into the deeper layers of your being. It shifts your attention from doing to being, from seeking to receiving. The act of asking a quiet inner question during these early hours can lead you into a state of spacious awareness, where time seems to slow and the usual mental noise subsides. Often in this stillness, intuitive knowing or subtle insights may emerge, not as clear, cut answers but as gentle nudges, feelings, or impressions. These arise from a deeper intelligence that is always available but often obscured by the constant activity of thought. By holding the question lightly and allowing the answer to come in its own time, you align yourself with this deeper flow of life. This practice also helps cultivate humility and patience. It acknowledges that not all understanding is immediate or explicit. Some wisdom reveals itself gradually in moments of quiet presence rather than through rapid thinking or planning. By embracing this, you learn to trust the process of life unfolding even when the path is unclear. As you continue this practice, waking during these hours transforms from a source of frustration or confusion into a sacred invitation. It becomes a moment to pause, to inquire, and to connect with the deeper intelligence that guides your life. This connection nurtures a sense of peace and trust, reminding you that you are not alone in the stillness. Ultimately, the quiet inner question you hold during these early awakenings is not about finding external solutions. It is about opening yourself to the mystery of existence and allowing your awareness to deepen. It is a step toward awakening not just in body but in spirit, a gentle movement into a more conscious, receptive way of being. Waking between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is not merely an interruption of sleep, but a profound invitation, a subtle call from deeper within you to awaken beyond the surface of ordinary life. In these quiet hours, when the ego's voice softens and mental noise fades, there is a unique opportunity to connect with presence itself. By embracing stillness instead of resistance, by gently anchoring awareness in the breath, and by observing thoughts without attachment, you open a doorway to a deeper dimension of consciousness. Holding a quiet, open question in this space further expands your awareness and invites the subtle wisdom of life to emerge. When met with acceptance and curiosity, these early awakenings become moments of grace, sacred pauses that nurture your inner peace and spiritual awakening. This is not about fixing or controlling, but about allowing yourself to simply be with what is, discovering the timeless presence that always resides within. In this practice lies a transformative power, inviting you to live more fully awake, both in the stillness of the night and the flow of each new day.